I don't think it can be overstated how important it is in street photography to improve your ability to notice. You know, I've never been a very technical person when it comes to getting the settings correct all the time when I'm shooting. You know, there actually used to be a time when I would just set my camera to auto and go out and do street photography. And while I might have been hindering myself in my growth and understanding those fundamentals, I was still giving 100% of my attention to the moment. And, you know, I think that still helped me grow as a photographer, more specifically, a street photographer. I definitely learned the fundamentals of exposure and how the exposure triangle works a lot later than most people do in their photography journey. You know, I usually just went out and shot and kind of learned through experience what each setting did, but I never really fully understood it until I focused on those aspects. I was definitely just more of a go out and shoot kind of person. Understanding the technical side of things always came second to the observational process. And you know, I still think that holds true for myself today. Without a good sense of your surroundings and being able to notice those photographable moments when they happen in front of you, there is no photo to begin with. You know, you could have the best technique, the best exposure settings, or the best gear, but if you're constantly out in the street missing great moments as they pass by you, what is it all worth? I think that's what makes street photography a little bit different than other genres of photography. It's a lot less on the technical side of things, you know, with gear, settings, all of that, and it's a lot more focus of just getting out there and experiencing those moments and photographing them when they happen. That's why you probably hear of some great street photographers who shoot in auto or priority settings on their cameras. And now obviously they know how to shoot in manual and how the exposure triangle works, but they choose to shoot in these auto settings because it lets them focus more on what's happening around them. For me, images that make me feel something or tell a story, those are the kind of images I strive to take. I don't need the best gear or the best settings to take those kind of photos. What's more important for me is being able to notice them when they happen. Now, don't get me wrong though, understanding these other concepts are important. You do need to understand how to expose properly, how to compose, how to use light and shadow, all those things. They'll make you a better photographer in the long run, but don't obsess over those things and don't let it make you overlook what's really important above all else. Being able to get out there and shoot and develop your eye and just practice observing everything going on around you. Over time, while you go out to shoot, you will be practicing those other concepts. You'll be practicing how to get good exposures. Through trial and error, you'll understand those concepts. Don't let a lack of understanding of those concepts or a lack of having a certain piece of gear, don't let that discourage you about your work when you go out to shoot. If someone asked me what settings I used for a photo I took maybe like a minute or two ago, I wouldn't be able to tell them without looking down at my camera. You know, us as photographers, when we see good photos, we are quick to ask what camera someone used or what lens or what exposure settings they used for that photo. And you know, I think we do it unconsciously. I do it myself. And we do this because we kind of see those things as attainable. And we think that if we get that camera or get that lens or use those settings, we'll be closer to getting a photograph like that photo we just saw. And that's not necessarily the case. You know, it's good to ask those things as a way to learn, but don't get obsessed over those things and think that's what's going to make you a better photographer. What we should ask instead is what made you take that photo, you know? What did you see in that photograph that spoke to you and why did you take it? And I think a lot of photographers would actually enjoy answering those kind of questions instead, because, you know, it recognizes that gear and settings didn't really play much of a big role in what made that photo come to life. And, you know, I think it can get easy for us to get in that mindset to think that those things will help us see those photographs when they happen. And in reality, they don't. It might help us in the process after we notice those scenes to take better photographs, but they come second to after being able to notice the photo in the first place. Improving your ability to observe and notice is not something you can purchase or even learn in a YouTube video. It's something that you have to experience yourself by going out there and shooting consistently. Over time, your eye is going to develop and you're going to see the world differently as you would have a long time ago. The way my eyes observe today, it's not the same way they observed last year. Just think of all the shooting experience, visual experiences, and inspiration you've been exposed to over that period of time. All of that contributes to how you see through your camera. To quote Henry Cartier-Bresson, he said that your first 10,000 photographs are going to be your worst. Reading that quote, it sort of makes me feel better about all the bad photos I've taken and continue to take. One bad photo I take just means I'm one photograph closer to my next good photograph. The more bad photos you take only means you've put in more experience and more work, and that means growth.